If you look to your ability and your faithfulness instead of to God's ability and God's faithfulness, you'll fail and you will even deny the Son of God.
I'm compelled to make this video as a follow-up to my previous video. That video was titled An Introduction to Jesus Christ. Now, I have a lot of interesting conversations where I work with a lot of interesting people, a lot of students. And there was something that I said in my last video that made me think about one of those conversations in particular. Now, this was a conversation with an atheist. He's 19 years old, and he, doesn't believe in an afterlife, thinks it's all hocus pocus. And, one of the typical points of view from an atheist is that the Bible is just a fantasy book. And one thing led to another in the conversation, and he said, "Look, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer it. As best you can. Try to be honest," he said. And I go, "Cool, well, I'll answer whatever question you have." I said, but, almost knowing what was coming, right? I said, "But when we're done, when I answer that question, you have to answer a question for me. Is that fair?" And he said, "Yes, not a problem." So the question that he asked me was this: what if you're wrong and there is no God? I said, "A fair question." I said, "You know what? I'm going to answer that question for you as honestly as I can." I said, "Given your point of view, you claim there is no God. What if I'm wrong? What if there is no God? Well, I will have lived my life as best I could, thinking that I'm bringing people close to Jesus Christ, in turn, so they can ask Jesus Christ to be their Lord and Savior, and they can be saved, and they can go home again. But if Jesus never died on the cross, then all my work would have been in vain, thinking that there's something for me, thinking that something is waiting for me. I will die, not even knowing that I was alive. All consciousness as I know it will cease to exist, and I'll be dead. But that doesn't change anything about how I chose to live. I will die still having lived the same life and still believing that there is not just a God, but the one true living God who created heaven and earth. The only difference is, in your scenario, there won't be anything, and I will simply be dead. And that will be it. I will just die." I just looked at him. He said, "Fair enough." I said, "Okay, now I'm going to ask you the same question. What if, as an atheist, you're wrong, and there is not just a God with a lowercase g, many of them are running around, and you can pray to whatever one you want, I suppose. That's your free will." I said, "But what if you find out that the one true living God is very real? Worse yet, what if you die tonight? What if some freak accident happened and you get hit by a car? Or you end up in a car accident and you go through the windshield of your own car? You get shot, right? And you die, having denied Christ in this life. And you stand before him. What will you do at that point when Jesus turns to his Father and says, 'Father, I don't know this person'?" And then it's too late. I said, "Is that something that you're willing to gamble with? Are you willing to gamble with your eternal soul, the salvation that Jesus Christ has to offer? Are you willing to have Jesus turn away from you and deny you a place in heaven?" And he just kind of stared at me for a minute, and that was it. I just kind of shrugged, and he didn't have anything to say. And me personally, I didn't say anything else, but I just felt sad inside. And the reason why I said this reminds me of something that I did in my previous video, it's from Matthew, chapter 10, verse 32 and 33. I mean, it's the same question I would have for any atheist. Are you willing to gamble with this? Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Are you willing to gamble with that? Him will I also deny. Deny. And then, unfortunately, you will know what it is like to feel disconnected from God's love forever. The emptiness, the sadness, and the despair forever. Don't let that be you.